Hey Matt, this is our 9th video in our 9th week. Let's start off with a review of all the things that I've asked you to memorize. So, if you'll remember, the first thing I asked you to memorize was your note names. See if you can do all the note names in this part of the fretboard. We'll go with sharp notation going up and flat notation going back. So it would go like this. E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A flat, G, G flat, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, C, B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E flat, D, D flat, C, B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, E. All right, note names. We started out with note names. Then we went over scale structure. And what I asked you to remember there is key, whole, half, whole, half. And if I were doing it on just the A string, it would be key, whole, half, whole, half. All right, the next thing I asked you to remember was a scale pattern on the neck. And for that, we went Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday. So I'm starting on the 6th string, 5th fret, and it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now you should also be able to understand intuitively that it's the same thing that I asked you to remember. Key, whole, half, whole, half is the same thing to remember as Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's just a different language. So if I were going to start here and do key, whole, half notation, this is how I would do it. I would say key, whole, because that's a whole step. I jumped over a fret. Key, whole. And then for the next half step, instead of going up 1, I'm going to go down a string and back 4 frets. Does that make sense? That from here to here is a half step. Just like from here to here is a half step. It's also here to here. So, key, whole, half, whole. Now a whole step is going to be down a string and back 3 frets. Key, whole, half, whole, half. All right, so it's the same thing. That's the scale structure, and that's the scale structure on one set of, in closed position, on holding a position. Another way to do that, I think an easier way to do that is instead of starting on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, back your fingers up and start on Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and do key, whole, half, whole, half. Key, whole, half, whole, half. Same thing. All right? Okay, and then I asked you to do triad chords. And the pattern to remember with that is major, minor, major, minor, diminished. So if I were going in the key of A, I would do the notes A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. Okay? So, but then I would do the chords, and the chords would be major, minor, major, minor, major, minor, diminished. Okay, let's try and just do this. A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E major, F sharp minor, G sharp diminished, and an A major. Those are the triad chords. Okay? Now, for the rest of this lesson, let's talk about a couple of things. First, I wanted to talk a little bit about, we did the major scale. What about the minor scale? Let's talk about the minor scale. And second, I told you last time I would talk a little bit more about rhythms, especially swing beats. And I wanted to tell you what those are. All right? Okay, I'm going to start out by doing my Ouroboros, musical Ouroboros, showing the 12 notes. All right? This time I'm not going to label them with any letters or numbers. I'm just going to point, okay? This one on top, whatever it is the tonic. It's the key. And then when we talk about the major scale, we were talking about key, whole, whole, half. Whole, 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 half. How did that not come out? Key, whole, whole, half. Whole, 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 half. Those were the numbers. So for the major scale, I'm going to point. That's not one. Major scale. This one. This one. This one. This one. This one. And this one. And we always start on this one. Okay. Not this one. Now, what are we talking about when we say the minor scale? I'm going to ask you not to talk about the minor scale, because unlike the major scale, whereas the major scale there was one really dominant scale that everybody uses, that everybody talks about as the major scale, but actually when you get into music for long enough, you find out that there are quite a few minor scales. There are a few of them. So when we talk about this scale that I'm going to tell you about, we're going to call it the natural minor scale. Okay? The natural minor scale is the first scale we're going to learn, and then I'll tell you about the others as we go. Okay, for the natural minor scale, we are going to start same as the major on this note. Second one, same as the major. Now, as you might have guessed, this one, that major third, is the one that gives the major chord its major sound. And instead of this note, we're going to use this note. Okay? The fourth note, same as the major scale, is going to be this one. The fifth note is going to be the same as the major scale. The sixth note, we're not going to use the major sixth. We're going to use the minor sixth. The seventh note, we are not going to use the major seventh. We are going to use the minor seventh. Okay? That's the minor scale. It's going to be this note, 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 and this note. Okay? Now, what does this mean? In the major scale, we said key, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. But that's not going to be true here, right? So the major scale, I'll write the major scale here. Key, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. But that's not true in the minor scale. The minor scale is going to be key, whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. Okay? Natural minor is not as easy to remember as the key, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, I think. It's a little bit different. All right? Now, the notes that we're using. When we used the major scale, we called this the 1. We called this the 2. We called this the 3. This the 4. This the 5. This the 6. And this the 7. In the minor scale, we're going to use these numbers, but we're going to modify them. So instead of the 3, which would be this note is going to be called the flat 3. Okay? So in the minor scale, the natural minor scale is going to be your 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. Okay? That's the minor scale. Notice that we always use the numbering system that we got from the major scale, but we modify it for the scale that we want. So instead of saying the 3, which would be this note, we say the flat 3. Even if I tell you that the scale is going to be a minor scale, we don't refer to this as the 3. We refer to this as the flat 3 when we're talking about the notes in the scale. Okay? There's something else that's interesting about the relationship between the major and minor scale, and I just want to point it out. Notice this pattern, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Okay? This pattern looks a lot different at first. Whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. But it's actually the same pattern started at a different place. Okay? If you think about it, this is 2 wholes and then a half, 3 wholes and then a half. Do you see that pattern anywhere? You see it right here. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. You see how I just started from here? When you say key, that's not really an interval. That's not a jump. That's a place to start. So when you start here, it's whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. The next octave would be from there, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole, right? Going up. This one, you would start here, go whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Do you see how it's always 2 wholes and then a half and then 3 wholes and then a half? You're just starting at a different place. Let's put it another way. Do you remember when I went over the whole, whole halves? Remember when I started here and I said, it's just like visualizing a piano, where you start here and go whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. What would the minor scale look like? Still, you'd be visualizing a piano, but just imagine that it comes further down. All right, where this is B and this is A. Okay, and imagine that we start here. If we start here, you'll see we go key, whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole, and then we end right here. What this tells you is that the A, I'll write it down, A natural minor scale uses the same notes as the C major scale. All of them. All 7 notes that are in the C major scale are also in the A natural minor scale. Remember when we were talking and I asked you, like, do you know a minor chord that sounds a lot like the C major chord? And you said A minor. Well, there's a relationship, a very close relationship between C major and A minor. And part of that is that the notes in the chords all match up, but another part is that the notes in the scale all match up. The notes in the A natural minor scale are the same notes as the C major scale. Okay? Kind of fascinating, right? Okay, I'm going to back up. I had to restart this video because I made a mistake. But I do think it's interesting that, so we were talking about how the A natural minor scale uses the same notes as the C major scale. And as a result of that, when we do triads in A natural minor, they're going to be the same chords as the chords in C major, but they're going to be in a different order. Okay, now let's do this. As I said, we're using A natural minor. Let's put in the note names. A would be here, B is here, C is here, D is here, E is here, F here, G here. Okay, this is going to be, when I label the notes, this is going to be, this is the 1, this is the 2, this is the flat 3, this is the 4, this is the 5, this is the flat 6, this is the flat 7. Okay, so in C major it was key, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. In the natural minor scale, it starts here, it's whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. All right, let's do triads. Now, the first triad that we're going to see is going to be A, the flat, the 1, the flat 3, and the 5. That is going to be A minor. Okay, second chord, B, D, and F. That's going to be B diminished. The flat 3 is going to be C, E, and G. C major. The 4 is going to be D, F, and A. That is D minor. The 5 is going to be E, G, and B. That is E minor. The flat 6 is going to be F, A, and C. That's going to be F major. The flat 7 is going to be G, B, and D. That is G major. When I label these chords for chord progression notation, A minor is the 1. B diminished is the 2 diminished. C major is the flat 3 major. D minor is 4 minor. E minor is going to be 5 minor. F major is going to be flat 6. G major is going to be flat 7. Both of those last ones major chords. Okay? So you see the same pattern. If you were to start on C, you would see major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. But we're starting on A minor. And if you start on A minor, you get minor, diminished, major, minor, minor, major, major. Okay? Still, you can go to chords that are in a minor key and label the chords this way. Chord progressions. Label chord progressions with these numbers. It's a little more confusing, right? In the major scale, it just felt better because you didn't have flat 3, flat 6, and flat 7. They were just numbered where they were in the scale. But in the natural minor scale, we don't do that. We use the numbers that come from the major scale, where this is the 3 and this is the flat 3, to describe every note in the scale. Okay? All right, so one last thing before we move on to rhythms, I wanted to talk about the playing the pattern on the guitar. Since the natural minor scale is a diatonic pattern, just like the major scale, you can use that Monday, Wednesday, Friday pattern that I showed you before to play the minor scale. You just have to start on a different note, start in a different place. So if I were going to do the A minor scale, starting on the 6th string, 5th fret, remember it's going to be a key whole half, so it's going to start out like this, right? Then where? Well, there's only a couple of places it could be, but in this case it's going to be key whole half, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday twice, and then it's going to go back to Monday, Wednesday, Friday 3 times. Okay? This is what it's going to sound like. Time change. Okay? You can also demonstrate to yourself that it's the same as a C major scale. Just start that same pattern from here. I had to think that through, but they are the same notes. They are the same notes. All right. let's move on to rhythms. We wanted to talk about what a swing rhythm is. We use swing rhythms. 2. All right. So these are the slides that I used when last we talked about rhythms. And I said that I wanted to point out the quarter note and the eighth note. And one of the things I said was quarter notes are ton, eighth notes are ti, and eighth notes, there are 2 of them per quarter note. Okay? I also said the eighth note is half of a quarter note. And that's not exactly true. Not always. So on a standard rhythm, the top 2 of these would be ton, 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 rest, ton, ti, ti, ton, rest. But with a swing beat, these eighth notes are not equal. There's going to be a bit of a horse clap. It's going to be ti, 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 ti. Okay? When you see when you're doing a swing beat, the kids, when they're doing a swing beat, instead of saying TT, they will say peaches. And because they do that because peaches has a bit of an accent on the P, the first syllable. So it'll be peaches, 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 peaches. And so something like this would be peaches, peaches, grape. Because on a swing beat, you're talking about peaches and grapes. Peaches, peaches, grape. So the rhythms, standard rhythm would be ton, 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 rest, ton, ti, ti, ton, rest. But with a swing, you could do it like ton, 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 rest, ton, peaches, ton, rest. Okay? So we use swing beats a lot. If you think about your song Big Top uses a swing, and I'm going to demonstrate that in a minute. You remember a long time ago when I was demonstrating how to draw a staff, I also said this is Big Top and these are the notes for Big Top. And it's true, but I wanted to show you that these eighth notes were written, but I did not mention the swing beat. And Big Top without a swing would not quite sound right. Without a swing, so I thought her again outside at the big... I did a swing here. Da, da. So I told her again outside at the Big Top. It was under the bright circus sign. So I saw her again outside at the Big Top. It was under the bright circus sky. You see the difference between the first time I did it was without a swing, but still using the same rhythms, just without a swing. With the rhythms, it's peaches, 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 grape, grape, like that. Okay? That's what a swing is. Okay, well, we went over the minor scale. We went over rhythms. Quickly, we just basically described what a swing beat is. And for homework this time, I'd like you to think through one chord progression that you already know. All right, this is the chord progression. It's going to be in A minor, so it's just the chord progression. We just mapped out all the triads. This chord progression is going to be A minor, G, F, E. Okay? And here's what I want you to think about. Do those chords map the diatonic chords of the A natural minor scale? There's one chord that's different. In fact, of all those chords, there's only one note that's different. Figure out what that note is. And next time, we'll talk a little bit about why that note sounds good. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.